to go live in November, so we need to get that interface done here in the next couple of months. For sure.
Hey, did you see Bruce Collier?
So I'm pushing up. Okay, because I'm obviously this I'm pushing this up to the sheriff and saying, hey, so you know. So he'll probably go, oh, wait a minute now. So anyway, yeah, just let me know what you find out. Thanks, boss.
And quote, the internet quote will also see Parks and Rec and the county clerk. The county commissioner is doing something. Along with PDC executive director, will soon be told about.
It's all good.
Bruce, come up for, no, we're speaking the truth. Back your mind. Yeah. That's what that's the truth. Yeah. It's on.
Hopefully you have that.
Okay, is Junior handling the mic today? You got it? Okay. Yep. Where's Letitia?
Right there, our crew.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I wrote that down because I should mention that. Well, we got money about
Oh. Morning. Was it time? It's time. Okay, guys. Good morning. Am I on? I don't think I'm on. Yesterday it was like, okay. Yeah, maybe I'm on. I'm Jim Bagby. I'm the Executive Director of Visit South Walton, and I want to thank y'all for coming by. The other Tuesday afternoon, we were standing room only, so today you have a little space. Has everybody signed in? Because once we go around and do introductions, we'll pull in the sign-in sheets, and that's who's signed in. So make sure each of the businesses has signed in. The couple of administrative things, make sure your cell phones are off or on vibrate so we don't interrupt the flow. We are recording this meeting. It'll be on the county website. Actually, it'll be on the county's TDC website, which is the county's website. The one from Tuesday is also on there. I think that one's under the BCC. We'll ask that you hold your questions to the end. When we have the question and answer session, Junior, right here, okay, has a microphone. You have to raise your hand and wait till the microphone comes to you, because that way we can get you recorded onto the tape going on. Okay? And I want to thank y'all for taking time. I know everybody's getting ready for the season. Season's rapidly upon us. What we're going to do real quick is we're going to go around the room. Just stand up, identify yourself and the business that you're associated with. And so we're going to start right here.
My name is Garrett Pate, and I'm with Premier Marine Service.
Hey, baby, Rosemary Beach. Aaron Coast from Rosemary Beach. Travis Wilburn, Beach Brothers Beach Service. Chip Problem, Beach Chairs, Mark Miller, Great Asphalt Realty. Ronald Booker, State Technology Associated. Kai Shepard, Watercolor Week.
Stephen Donapart, Health Research Center.
Sean Berkeley Beach.
Get a champagne, so over you.
We're up to you. Okay.
Chris Spyglass.
Which business?
I'm sorry?
Which business?
Spyglass.
Spyglass. Oh, Chris.
Seth McDonald with the Beach Share Company. Mike James with the Beach Share Company. Ryan Cox, I was in the Beach Share.
Okay. And we had two come in, Suzanne and Don. Go on, just. Okay. And our last one, before we get started, as soon as he gets signed in. So I want to introduce the speakers while we're waiting on him to get signed in. I'm going to be followed by Brian Kellenberger, who is our Director of Beach Operations. And he's going to be followed by Jeff McVeigh, who is our Chief, or our Lead Code Enforcement Officer. And then we've got, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. John's going to follow you. John Irvin, who's our Director of Communications and Marketing. And then Jeff McVeigh. And then Bobby Stewart from Turtle Watch, wherever Bobby is. Okay. And then we've got, I always want to call him Audie Murphy, but Audie Rowell, Captain from the Sheriff's Department. And then we'll have Chris Lambert and Sammy Sanchez from the South Walton Fire District. And then we'll turn it back over to Brian to wrap up and finish do the question and answer session. I'll have a couple of comments at the end. So the last couple of people, I don't see where he went. Make sure you identify. Back left. Name and which company?
Dylan Beach Services.
Okay. And we actually have two, I guess. Ma'am, where are you from? You? Yeah. Okay, stand up paddle. Okay, Brian?
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time this morning. My name is Brian Kellenberger. I'm Director of Beach Operations, and that puts me in charge of beach code enforcement and beach maintenance. The purpose of our meeting today is to go over how we all expect to participate and play on the beaches this year. We have members from each agency that you will encounter or interact with, and they'll give a short presentation on what they expect and rules and ordinances and all that. So to get started, John Irvin is going to give us a brand overview of Visit South Walton.
Yes, thanks. Good morning. And I get what might appear to be sort of the fluffy part of this, but it is brief. If you don't know where you are, you're in South Walton. And that is a different destination than Panama City and a different destination than our neighbor to the west, Destin. We ask you, who have as much contact with the consumer as we do, in fact, probably more, to help yourselves and help us when communicating where your business is. Those clients that you're serving, who you impress, who have a great visit, go home and tell folks, well, I had the most wonderful time. And if they say, in Destin, then where do you think those folks search online and go to hotels.com and Expedia to find a place to stay? Well, they're not going to be your customers, are they, if they're 60 miles from here? So it's that important that you reference who you are, where you are, and this brand, the family of the 16 neighborhoods, is highly successful. Awareness is still relatively low, but that didn't stop this destination from being the #1 grossing coastal economy in the state of Florida last summer. Outgrossed Miami, outgrossed the Keys, outgrossed Tampa. Pretty amazing when you think about that, but that's the investment that y'all are making, that we're making, that the bed tax collectors are making, the residents are making, and you know it better than anybody. The working families of Walton County rely on tourism. So South Walton is an important part of what we all do. You're seeing a new brand come forward, and you're going to see that continue to get replaced, the old script, with the mark that many refer to as the Sunwave, but it is a somewhat abstract S and a W, South Walton, and you will see that on the materials that are in front of you. Visitor guides, stickers, maps. All of that information is available through the Visitor Center as well, in addition to merchandise, T-shirts, and hats and such that your visitors, if they're wanting to know about additional things, that they can come back a second or a third or a fourth time each year to do. We can assist with that. So we ask you to think of us as your support and your marketing resource. The other thing which is important is a safe customer is a repeat customer, and you guys are on the front lines. So the beach flag warning systems appear in the visitor guides. You're starting to see that on deck graphics as you go to the beach. It's in digital programs that we push onto smartphones, geo-coded and smart delivered onto consumers on the beach. And if you want that information, we can provide you and help you. But to keep folks safe has got to be the first thing in all of our minds as a community. And to that end, there's a very easy text number, 67463, and you can text the word safety and get updates. I would recommend that you and your teams have that, so you're getting the immediate updates. Come every single day. You can set it for a range of time, just the season that you're operating or just the week that you're here if you're a visitor. And if there's a second update coming during the day, you will get that pushed to your phone and you will get a text for that. So we try to make it very easy, but that's important information. And anything that we can do for you, you just need to ask. So thank you again for being here, and we'll get back to a little bit more of the permit relative things, but I appreciate your listening.
Thanks, John. We have a few new members we'd like to introduce. Our first one is Haley Laughlin, our beach ambassador. She started last year during the season. You'll see more of her out there this year. Next new person is Carrie Peters. She's new to our organization, communications coordinator for the marketing department. And Dave Goodman, our new code enforcement officer. So you'll see him on the beach enforcing our codes. Next, we have Jeff McVeigh to go over the permitting processes and other code-related items.
Good morning. Most of y'all have been around enough to have read the ordinance in the past. I'm not going to read you the ordinance line by line. We had that discussion prior to, so we'll kind of skip the reading the ordinance down all the way down through it. I mean, you got a copy of it. Take a look at it. Make sure you'll understand that. As far as your permits go, the extending your permits, if you had a permit in the past last year, if you had last year's permit, that permit's extended through May the 22nd. So the only thing we need from you guys that have those extensions are your updated insurance. So as long as we got your new insurance on file, your permit from 2014 will run on into May 22nd. The reason behind that is the ordinance update that's coming potentially in 2015 now. That it won't affect as much the site-specific vendors as it will the delivery vendors, but it will give you the option to opt out at that time if you decide that the changes in the ordinances maybe are too invasive or too, I guess invasive is what I'm looking at. That if it's going to affect you to the point that you don't want to continue vending, then you don't have a $500 worth of new permit. That's you've paid it, now you're choosing to go away and not do business. So it just gives you the ability to go ahead and operate through May the 22nd under your existing permit. And if you choose not to re-update, then you don't have to go through that process. Like I say, we just need to make sure we got your updated insurance, and then we'll be good with that. Applications for 2015, they are available today. There is applications if you decide you want to go ahead and get it, fill it out, and have it in your hand ready to go. If you want to go ahead and get those applications today so you can get everything together, nothing's really changed on that except just an email address or just a few administrative changes to make sure we got good information on you guys. The biggest issue we had last year with permits, getting permits approved, was your site plans. Site plans were a little more in-depth last year because we were having issues determining whose vending area stopped where and who had how many boxes on the beach. The biggest issue with your site plans, make sure when you draw your site plan it's got the dimensions on it, east and west and north and south. And if you've got boxes on it, you draw your boxes and the dimensions of your boxes and where they are at the toe of the dune. Also, if you've got volleyball nets or if you got something that's out on the beach that's not at the toe of the dune, the ordinance reads that if it's approved in your permit, then it's allowed to be there. So if you draw it on your permit, once your permit's approved, then you don't have to take that off the beach each day. It keeps it inside of the approval process with your vending permit. The thing with those are your boxes and your volleyball nets. Anything that you leave on the beach all the time needs to have your permit number on it. So when you get a permit number, your last year's permit number's 14-25- whatever it is, make sure that it's stenciled on your boxes and it's also stenciled on your volleyball nets. Because what happens is our guys go down the beach and that stuff that's on the beach that's not permitted, then we move it. So if it's out on the beach and it's not permitted and it goes away, it's because it didn't have your numbers on it. So make sure anything that's approved in your permit number is put on your all your equipment. As far as the codes go, we're living as we were last year with the codes. The biggest vendor issues we had were leave no trace, leaving sets on the beach. Understand that we can pretty well tell the difference on whether or not your guys left it out, or if somebody sniped a stack of chairs and just drug some stuff out. When you guys put your stuff on the beach, they're carrying 8 or 10 chairs at the time. They carry them out and sit them down, drill the umbrellas in. Everything's nice and pretty and square, and the umbrellas between the chairs. Well, if somebody snipes your stack, 9 times out of 10, they've drugged your chairs down the beach, your stack's jacked up and all that kind of stuff. So we give you the shadow of a doubt on that if we run across that stuff. A lot of times you'll come back the next day and you'll find chairs back on your stack that may have a notice on it, and it'll have a note, found on the beach. That's one of those deals where we felt like somebody just sniped your stuff. We just put it back on the stack for you and left it with you. If we find it on the beach and take it, once we take your stuff, we had some issues last year where we, tried to do the call you, and if you want to come get your stuff now, come get your stuff. That's fine. If you want to come get it in the middle of the night, we're good with that. If we load it up and take it, giving it back to you once or twice and the old, hey, don't leave it no more, and then writing your ticket, thing of the past. If we put it in the truck, you get paperwork for it, regardless. Doesn't matter if it's the first time or the 11th time. Whoever comes and picks the chairs up will get paperwork. So, having said that, if your admin guy comes and gets the chairs that your beach guy left out last night, the citation's written to your company. So if it's whoever the company is, that the person who signs the bottom of the citation, that's just the person who received the citation. The citation's to the company. So we got in an issue there for a little while. Well, I can't come get them because I'm working over here with the guy that's left the chairs out over there. It doesn't matter to us who comes and gets them. The citation's to the company. So when we call you and tell you, hey, we got them, it doesn't matter to us who you send to get them. As far as your any other ordinance issues go, pretty much leave no trace and ghost sets. Somebody's one other issue, but ghost sets is a big deal where we find the same chairs at the same locations and we photograph those locations, and then next week the same chairs are out at different locations but the names are moved. If they're not rented the following day, they need to come off the beach from the stack. So I'm getting ahead of myself. If they're on the beach, they need to be rented for that day. If they're not rented for that day, they're considered ghost sets and are authorized to be on public access locations. So if they're on an access location where the county's got assigned the regional accesses, they don't need to be there unless somebody's rented those chairs for that day. If you're taking chairs to a public location, you're putting those chairs out. If they're rented there today, you can leave them there. If they're rented there tomorrow, you can bring them to the toe of the dunes, leave them, use them again tomorrow night. Just don't put them on the access. Don't chain them to the access, chain them to the sign. Give us a few feet on each side of the access. It gives the maintenance guys room to get in and do whatever they need to do as far as getting trash or maintaining the access. It also takes a liability away from both the county and you, where somebody comes off the end of a boardwalk and trips over your chairs that's against the end of the boardwalk, then that liability comes back to both you and the county. So if you'll move them off those access a little bit, gives all of us a little bit more room. and decreases the liability on us some. So if you leave them there, if they're rented tomorrow night, that's fine. If they're not rented tomorrow, they have to come off the beach. So if you rent them there today, they're rented there tomorrow, you can leave them there. If they're not rented tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow, the following day, they have to come off the beach the night before. So our contact information is on the next page of your handout, your paperwork. It's got my information, Harold Jr.'s information, and Dave's information. If you run across an issue and you see something that we need to pay attention to, we need to come check on, you had an issue with it, we're all three working different schedules, just send us an email, send it to all three of us. Whichever one of us is on duty will reply to you or come to you or whatever we need to do. And if by chance one of us is not on duty at that particular time, the next one on duty will get up with you about it. So other than that, that's pretty well it in a nutshell as far as we go. So I'm going to turn it over to Bobby with Turtle Watch.
Thanks, Jeff. Good morning. I'm Bobby Stewart, South Walton Turtle Watch. Starfire mission is still the same. We are responsible for conducting nesting surveys on all 26 miles of Walton County beaches every morning. We start at nautical dawn, sometime between nautical dawn and civil dawn. Just like civil dawn is when you can see to conduct outdoor activities. We hit the beaches as early as we possibly can. We conduct our nesting surveys as required by state, federal law. We clear the beaches as quickly and efficiently and effectively as we can. Our season begins May 1st. We'll run through October 31st, although generally our last turtle nest is found sometime in early August. We generally hatch the last of the nests out by late September. So the past two seasons, we've actually, our text alert system is effectively ended at the end of September. Our texting program has proved to be an effective and efficient way to notify each of you an area cleared so that you can get out there and get started. We appreciate and understand how hard you work and how important what you do is. Our contact information, actually there has been a change in the texting program. Last season there were two different numbers. The county was divided basically into east and west. This year there'll be one single central contact number. It's all listed with a description of the areas on the page before all of your maps, the map of each of the sections. Contact information, you can contact us at South Walton Turtle Watch. Sharon's number is published, as is mine. I'll make certain that any and all of you have a way to get in touch with us. I have nothing else.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Good morning. I am Captain Audie Rowell. I am the Bureau Chief over the South Walton Bureau for the Walton County Sheriff's Office. First, I want to thank Jim Bagby and the staff of the TDC as well as our fellow first responders, South Walton Fire, for partnering with us on this. We realize that this is a team effort, but there's actually another very important partner that we at the Sheriff's Office believe is very important to us, and that's you vendors. And the reason the vendors are very important to us is because y'all are probably out there on the beach or around the beach or near the public more than just about anybody else. And you're liable to see something out there. And we ask you that if you see something, please call us, please say something, notify us, step forward if you happen to see something happen between two individuals. We always need a good witness. We always need somebody to tell us exactly what's going on because we may not have been there. Please contact us if you do see something. So thank you. A couple of things that we are having two operational plans this year. Our first operational plan begins February the 28th and will go to about March 28th. We call that our College Spring Break Ops Plan. That's mostly in the Scenic 98 corridor around the Wellstail area. Our second Ops Plan will be March 29th to about April 18th. We call that kind of our high school spring break. That's more in the seaside area over to the Rosemary Beach side area. Not much change for us. You probably heard we do a zero tolerance on underage drinking. Last year we arrested about 800, the year before about 1,100. Everybody goes north, which is always fairly interesting for some of these kids that come here and they're down here in this populated area, and 45 minutes later they're still not at the jail and they're in the woods somewhere. So it is a little bit of a wake-up call for them, but we are planning on the same ops plan. We are going to be pro-arrest, and everybody's probably going to go north this time. A couple things for the vendors. Please always keep the beach access clear. Obviously, anything on the beach, remember about emergency vehicles. They have to come through. So make sure those ways are clear. A lot of y'all have also developed relationships with deputies. Please continue that. But one word of caution, if you do see something or something happens, don't call a deputy directly. He may not be in the area. He may be somewhere else. He may not be able to answer. Please call our dispatch, and I'll give you that number in just a little bit. Last thing, if you really want to know what the updates for the sheriffs are going on with us, if you will like our Facebook page, we constantly update that Facebook page on everything from road closures to significant events to whatever may happen as part of the ops plan or anything within the county. We will update our Facebook page. So please like our Facebook page. A couple of numbers. I'll give you my number first. My number is 401-4599. Then I'm going to give you Lieutenant Robert Gray. Lieutenant Robert Gray will be one of the incident commanders. He is actually the incident commander over the college spring break. His number is 401-4679. And then Lieutenant, we call him Doc Savage. He will be the incident commander over the high school spring break, which is the Seaside Rosemary. And his number is 401-4073. So you're welcome to call us as well. Again, if it's an emergency, please don't call one of us. Call our agency. The office number is there, the 892-8111. That is our dispatch number. That's the number to call unless you need to dial 911. Then no problem, dial 911. That's it. Thank you.
Morning. I'm Lifeguard Supervisor Chris Lambert. The role of the lifeguard is mishap prevention out on the beach. We want to interact with our visitors and not let them get to the point where they have to be rescued. And the way that they do that, if you look at the visuals here, is we have 10 towers, but in 26 miles of beach we have to use ATVs, and sometimes we can't interact with each member. So if you take away one thing today as a vendor, remember that we are part of the 911 system. So your first thing, if you see anybody injured or in trouble in the water, is to dial 911 first. That way it activates us and we can get to the situation. We monitor 911 dispatch with the radios out there. Each lifeguard is medically trained, first responders, and their certification is USLA. That's the highest you can achieve in the United States. Most important thing when you dial 911, or second most important thing, know your beach access numbers. Know what your closest access is, because that's the first thing they're going to ask you is, where are you? That beach access number will take care of that. And lastly, missing child. If you have a missing child come up to you, that is also part of the 911 system. Don't call your buddy lifeguard who's probably off that day at home, Seth. Call 911. Because they're going to get the information they need, and then they're going to let the lifeguards know so that we can make a plan on our search for that child. Next is going to be Chief Talbert, and he's going to talk to you about hurricanes, weathers, and other items. Unless you want me to keep going? Okay.
Morning, everyone. Again, with the tall podium. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sammy Sanchez. I am the Fire Marshal for the South Walton Fire District. And a couple of things we're going to talk about is hurricanes and weather. Obviously, we live in Florida. We know what those are. The significance of this is you don't have a lot of time. You got to heed the warnings. When the county's telling you, get your stuff off the beach, then's the time to get your stuff off the beach, not the day before. Once we close those beaches, the guys in green are going to make sure that you don't get on there. So it's very, very important that you move your things as quick as possible when you're told to. I don't know if Chris, did you cover the double red flag and all that, the difference? Okay.
Water closed, double red flag versus beach closed.
Yes. On rare occasion, we do close the water completely. That means no one can get on the beach, period. And that is typically during inclement weather such as hurricanes. So you guys have to be aware of that. You can always follow our Facebook and our website. It's swfd.org. We post the beach flag changes every single day. You can also text the word flag to the number 67463, and you will get a beach flag update twice a day, most times. So I'll repeat that number again if you need it. It's text the word flag to 67463, and I promise you will get a current beach flag update every day. A couple of other things that we want to talk about is bonfires. If you go to the next slide. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you. Bonfires. One thing I would like for you guys to remember is bonfires are a privilege. They're a privilege here in South Walton. We're probably one of the only counties in the state of Florida that still allows them. And the only way we can continue to have those is with your assistance. For every bad bonfire that's out there, there's a lot of work that's involved to rectify that. And I really need your guys' assistance. If you see an illegal bonfire, please let us know. That's the only way we can control it. Are there going to be illegal bonfires? Absolutely. That's just because people come down here, they're going to see you guys setting up, they're going to think it's okay to do it without getting a permit. Truth of the matter is, those are the ones that we're trying to track down, so we need your eyes out there. If you see an illegal bonfire, we ask that you call our dispatch. They can get in touch with me, and we can try to track that down. I'll give you that number as well. Our dispatch number is 267-0167. That's 267-0167. They're open 24/7. So if you see an illegal bonfire, please give them a call. If you own beachfront property, you can get an annual permit, but you still have to call that in. And that is to protect you. That is to ensure that if the deputies or code enforcement drives by and no one's on your property with an illegal bonfire. One thing that's of importance, the bonfire requires you to clean it up by 8 in the morning. The way the ordinance reads, it says 24 hours, but we changed that to 8 in the morning. We think that's plenty of time. We think it's important that the bonfire didn't stay out there for a full 24 hours. Those are the calls that I typically get, are the ones in the morning where they have not been picked up. So once they're not picked up, then we got to track down who had it and try to fix that problem. So again, 8 in the morning, they have to be picked up. And then lastly, fireworks. Fireworks are still illegal. They were illegal last year, and they are still illegal this year. Florida Statute 791 has a whole list of fireworks that are illegal. Basically anything that launches, lifts in the air, explodes, goes boom, is considered an illegal firework. Sky lanterns are illegal. I know as vendors, sometimes you'll have wedding parties or you'll have parties out there and they want to launch these sky lanterns. They're considered illegal. If you'll notice that picture, that's actually a fire that was started by the sky lanterns. The problem with sky lanterns is you don't know where they're going to go. They're steered by the wind. There's no guarantee they're going to extinguish when they land. And then who's going to clean up the mess? So Florida Statute 791 considers them illegal, and we also consider them illegal. Are you going to see them on the beach? Probably. Are you going to see illegal fireworks on the beach? Probably. But I'm asking you guys as vendors, if you have customers that want to do this, the answer is no, that they are illegal. I think that is all I've got. Sir, thank you.
Thanks, Danny. Beach operations, beach maintenance. We're the guys that clean the beach every day. Our responsibilities are to collect from the collection stations. We have over 600 of them up and down the beach. We need your help. As part of the ordinance, you're required to clean your immediate beach area. The actual verbiage is 100 feet to each side. But what we'd like is if you have a specific place, clean it up, put it up next to our garbage collection stations, and we'll pick it up for you the next morning or that afternoon if we haven't made it by. Storm preparation, Sammy touched on that. Once again, when the word goes out, we expect you to act quickly to get all your equipment, including boxes, off the beach. So that's all about beach operations. Jim, is there anything you'd like to add to the end?
Thanks, Brian. Just, how many of you, out of curiosity, get the TDC's Weekly Connections newsletter? Any? Okay, a few of you? All right. That is probably one of the best sources of information for what's going on a weekly basis. And all you have to do is go to www.visitsouthwalton.org, and you can sign up for the connections. And it gets delivered to you usually every Thursday, and that'll tell you about meetings that are going on and things like that. One of the things we are doing this year is we have partnered with Visit Florida to do a test bed for a certified tourism ambassador training. It's an online training, and we're going to make that available to all our partners, to include beach vendors or stand-up paddleboard vendors or restaurants or bed tax collectors or whoever, because one of the challenges we had last year is we noticed a shortcoming in customer service in some of our areas. And so this is really customer service training. And it's very important. We'll open it up to HOAs or condo associations or whatever, because really the lifeblood of South Walton is tourism. And we are all ambassadors. We are all stewards for this area. And it's critical that we all understand we've been given a gift, and we need to perpetuate that gift. And to do that, we want people to come have a great experience, and we want them to come back. To John's point, we don't want them going back to Dallas and saying they had a great time in Destin when they were in South Walton. I got an email yesterday from my neighbor in Okaloosa County who warned me that a lady had a bad experience. I said, well, I'm just telling her she's staying in Destin, but she was actually staying over here, but she thought she was in Destin. So that's one of the ways it works in the reverse. If you want to get access to that online training, then you need to email training@visitsouthwalton.com, and Christina will get you signed up and get you the password, and you can it's free. You can put all your folks through the training, whether they be housekeepers or security guards or pool folks or maintenance folks, because everybody is an ambassador for this destination. And so they're every position. I'd love to see every single person in South Walton certified as a tourism ambassador. There is a meeting in this room on March 10th at 3 p.m. where the Board of County Commissioners is going to have a workshop to discuss proposed changes to the beach activities ordinance. I think most of you are aware that that's kind of been percolating up. I don't know what they're going to do. We thought we'd have the changes to them today, but Brian and I still have a few little things to fix or work on before we get that to them. But once we have sent it to the Board of County Commissioners, we will post it on the TDC website, the proposed changes and a link to the proposed maps and things like that. So just, if you can, go to the TDC website, visit southwalton.org, and we will have it posted there as soon as it's done. And finally, I just want to clarify something Jeff said. I think he was talking about the leave no trace violations, about if you come get it, then you're going to get paperwork or whatever. The Leave No Trace program is going to go back to the original way it was set up. That's the plan anyway for this year, so that it's not the tag system didn't work. You know, too much stuff, and we've got pictures. I've got more pictures than I can count of stuff on beach, and people either stealing your stuff or leaving their stuff down there where they were sitting up drinking around a bonfire at midnight or whatever they were doing. And it's again, we're stewards of this beach, and it's not a good picture. So I think that's what he was talking about. He wasn't talking about the other violations. There's still a warning on the code violations that he was talking about. And I think that's all I have. I'll I'll turn it over to Brian, and we'll do a little Q&A. Remember, please raise your hand and wait until Junior brings you the microphone. Thanks.
I missed. On your application, the acknowledgement form, or I'm sorry, the vendor checklist, when you do your application, the two issues that we had the most with last year in getting your vendor permits approved was your site plans. So make sure you draw those site plan dimensions I talked about earlier. The other issue was the consent form from the upland property owner. So if you don't have the written permission from the upland property owner, that'll get your permit sent back to you, just delays you getting your permit. So that's the two things. I just want to make sure I mentioned that other item that I left out earlier. But your checklist, pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions on that, you can contact either the crew at the planning department or one of the three of us, and we'll help you do that. So, all right, sorry about that.
Before we go into Q&A, got a few things I want to go back over. The permitting process. 2014 vendor permits have been extended to May 22nd. We highly encourage the people that have specific place permits to go ahead and apply for their 2015, because the minor revisions that have been recommended for the ordinance don't really affect people that have specific place permits. The people that do decide to wait until May 22nd, we still need your insurance certificates. They should be on automated process from your insurance provider, that they automatically go to the certificate holders when they come up for renewal or recertification. So that's it on the vendor permits. Questions concerning beach vending? Once again, if you'll state your name and your question.
Spyglass. I was wondering, on private beach sections that's posted private beach, where is, do we have any authorization having rules of canopies and such, and who enforces it if there is?
Okay, I believe the question was private property, do they have their own set of rules and regulations on how people can set up on their beach? They have that ability to do that, and they enforce that themselves. We don't enforce private property rules, be it HOA or resort communities. We don't enforce their rules and regulations. Except to leave no trace. In the event you leave something over during the evening hours, it's considered abandoned, and we'll pick it up. Yep.
How would you consider enforcement? Say tents were a huge issue last year.
Right. If the tents are on the beach 1 hour after dusk and they're not occupied, then they're
saying tents on private property.
Right.
The private. What's the you said, police themselves. The private property police themselves.
Mm-hmm.
How do we go about that? What's our legal right?
As to whether you got to take the tent off the beach at night, according to the current ordinance, even if you're on private property, you can't leave articles on the flat portion of the beach unoccupied. Okay. Now, if you're occupying them, then you're using them. But if you can't just leave them sitting there, and even though it's your private property, it's just like your front yard. There are certain ordinances in the county that you can't leave vehicles in your front yard. You can't leave tents in your backyard on your beach. Now, there are provisions for getting particular items permitted, and those are usually large items that are difficult to remove off the beach. Tents aren't included in that. Usually kayaks, catamarans, volleyball nets, stuff of that nature. But if you're on private property and you leave a tent down there and it's not occupied during the hours listed in the ordinance, then it's considered abandoned, and it's under the Leave No Trace organization.
I'm not speaking of overnight.
Okay.
I'm saying during the day,
Right.
anytime.
Okay.
So we can go up there and say, get your tent off this property, and that's it?
If it is a public visitor to the beach that has traversed down a neighborhood beach access, has migrated east or west onto your private property. Now, private property issues are a criminal issue, and they're actually handled by the sheriff's office, and it is the mutual understanding that they enforce the mean high water line, which is 20 feet from the rack line, which is the typical southern boundary of most properties on the Gulf front. Not all of them are that way, but in order to do that, you would call the sheriff. They require that you have a current survey that delineates where your property is so that you can prove that this person is actually on your private property. Now, if they're, like I say, 20 feet from the water, that has been, like I say, mutual understanding of what is known as the wet sand area, and the general public, through case law, has been allowed to traverse that area.
Let me ask a question, because I may misunderstand. So you have authorization from the homeowner or property owner of the private property to set up on their beach, and somebody else comes and sets up a tent, right?
The homeowner started the business, the landowner started the business.
Yeah.
And that's one of his major issues is it's his property. He wants to do what he wants with it, and he's sick of people coming down with tents. He almost got sued last year for an issue of tents flying down. So if tents becoming an issue, then he wants them off his property. So if they do fly on his property, he's not responsible.
He's not required to allow tents on his private property. I guess that's where I'm missing the connection. So if somebody puts up a tent, whether it's me or you or anybody else, and he owns the property, he can come down and say, please remove your tent from my property. And if I don't, he can call the sheriff, and the sheriff will probably nicely ask me to remove my tent from the private property.
Now that's anywhere on the property, or the 20 feet you're just talking about?
No, the public beach, he could set up the tent, and that's the problem. Are you on the western end of the county where there's an ECL, or where are you?
Eastern end.
Eastern end? No. Then if they're in the public section, then they probably could set it up. The problem is I still think the sheriff comes down and tries to mitigate that. Okay. But then you get into where's the mean high water line, and I'm not that person. And the TDC code enforcement guys are not that person.
I'm not that person either that can tell you where the mean high water line is. It is such a gray area. It is very difficult for us. And my understanding is unless you have something from DEP, a specific type of survey, it is very difficult for us. And certainly the state attorney has already said they will not prosecute anybody below the mean high water line emphatically, so we won't be doing that. We won't be arresting people standing in wet sand. It's not going to happen. So it's a difficult situation. But if somebody has, it's just like any other piece of property. Certainly if nobody's there and they can set a tent up and leave, you can remove the tent. You feel like it's on your property. But then you get into the gray area. Was it on your property? Was it wasn't on your property? So it's it really is very difficult.
Next question.
Brian Cox. With regards to vehicle access to move equipment on and off the beach, I was wondering if there's going to be leniency as far as once the season begins. I know in the past you can call the county office and ask for a day to move equipment around. Is that still going to be the case, or?
Jeff, you want to answer this question?
Yeah, you get when you get your permit, look at the tide cycle, look at the lake outfalls, whatever will affect you. Contact Carrie's crew at the planning department. They'll give you a permit for 1 day per permit. So if you're a permit holder at this resort and this resort and this resort, then you can get a permit for each of those days to deliver to that site. Ideally, we want you to do that early in the morning, late in the evening, especially when the season starts ramping up. But you're allowed 5 days a year. You get a setup day and a tear down day, and then you get Memorial Day, Labor Day, and the 4th of July if you need to add some equipment. And after the Labor Day time, you start backing some equipment down. So they'll permit you for 5 days per site, but it depends on those 5 things: start season, end season, and then the 3 holiday weekends. Does that help you out? Okay.
Does that include at the beginning to get things out there initially?
Yeah, when you get your permit, you get 1 day per site. So if you get 5 permits, you get 5 days basically. You get a day for this permit, a day for that permit, and so on. Okay.
Next question. That's it? All right. Thank you all for coming out today. Appreciate it.
Have a good season, good safe season.